Hello, everyone. Welcome to Harmonic Heart. We're a music blog dedicated to showcasing musicians' stories and talent. I'm your host, Chris Millette. I'm excited to have indie rock band After the Martyrs on today for an interview. Yeah, welcome, y'all.
Hi.
Very cool. Yeah, so we have,
Hi.
the duo consists of Brenna Carroll and Paco Galazar. Brenna is on songwriting and vocals, and Paco is on electric, acoustic, and bass guitars. The band is based in Silver Spring, Maryland, and Brenna is originally from Northwest Indiana, and Paco's originally from Ecuador. Yeah, so we met at Just Rock Enterprises open mic. Yeah, and you two opened with a cover of Kate Bush's song "James and the Cold Gun," and when I heard Paco's guitar switch over to the distortion, I got really excited because I was like, "Oh man, they're playing indie rock." Indie rock's one of my favorite genres. A lot of my music, a considerable amount, comes out of indie rock. So yeah, I was excited that we were able to connect and to do this interview here. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. So, and I mentioned this at the open mic, but I, enjoy your like the quality of your voice, Brenna, and like your vocal melodies, the flutters you do. And
Thanks.
yeah, I feel like it's, unique and entertaining, and you have like an animated performance style as well. Yeah, that's really fun. Um, yeah, and it complements the story of the songs you sing about. So yeah. So, I think a nice place to start would be, how did you two meet and form the band?
So
A friend of ours.
it was a friend of ours connected us. I briefly went to social work school first semester, and I sat
Oh.
next to this girl in class, and she was friends with Paco, so she introduced us.
Oh, interesting. So was the introduction like, oh, like both of you do music, so you should connect, or how'd that
Yeah,
go?
yeah, pretty much.
Hmm.
About hiking. We all like hiking quite a bit. Like, there's some trails near here, and so we would just got together and walked through the woods for a while, and then we started jamming from there.
Oh, sweet. Oh, yeah, that's awesome. Connecting to nature and then over music too. Wow.
Yeah.
Hmm. All right. Yeah. What brought each of you to DC?
Paco, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I can come first. What brings me to here to DC?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, DC for me is like really good, rich in culture. It has a lot of different art and cultures around, and let us appreciate everything. So that makes me come close to the city and enjoy what the city, in this case DC, give to people to go to free museums and all this art around. So I like this, being connected a little closer to the big city.
Mm, yeah, I agree. That's one of the things I love most about DC too, all the culture and art and free access we have to so many cultural things. Mhm.
Um, so as you mentioned, I'm from Northwest Indiana. It's near Chicago. It's a suburb of Chicago. So I lived there until I was 18, but then I came to GW 5 years ago for college, and I just have stayed since then. As Pac kind of mentioned, DC is a little more, nothing against Indiana, just there's more going on here for
Mm.
sure.
Okay, sweet,
Like
sweet.
museums and music and stuff like that. Lots of
Mm,
people.
mm, mm. So I was doing, some research, and it seems like, you're more than a songwriter, Brenna. Can you talk to us about your short story,
Sure.
After the Martyrs, and how that relates to the band
Yeah, so
name?
the name for the band comes from a short story I wrote, I want to say sophomore year of college. I was taking a creative writing class, and I had to write this story, and I procrastinated because we all had to write stories, and then like the class would read them as a group.
Oh.
And I procrastinated big time. And so I waited till the night before and wrote this story. And it's about a nun who is an ascetic, which means it was a medieval nun, I should be specific. And asceticism is kind of like intentional self-denial for the purpose of like higher spiritual, like reaching spiritual heights.
Mm.
And it was really popular in the Middle Ages. And I wrote my thesis in college on medieval female saints, so I'm just really interested in the subject. So it's about her and her experience with that, and how she kind of turns away from a self-destructive path in favor of a path that will like allow her to live and flourish a little more. So that's where that comes from. But I love writing short stories. I write poems, I write songs. Just something I really enjoy.
Oh, okay. Yeah. How'd you get into first starting to write, poems and songs and just writing?
I think I started in high school. Like one of the songs we performed, I definitely wrote in high school. Um, just as a way to like, poetry is almost like a world in which things that don't fully make sense in our world can make sense.
Mm.
Like, things can be very tangential, or like metaphors kind of come to life in poetry is what I'm trying to say, and it's a world in which they can exist and make sense. And so that's always just been something I really enjoyed, and it's a really good creative outlet for me.
Interesting. Yeah, so you're saying, you can use metaphors and you can kind of juxtapose different ideas and kind of have the what's said and what's unsaid kind of speak for itself and come through in the work.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. So yeah, that's something I like about poetry too. What about songs? Was it kind of the same around the same time, the same motivations as well?
So I actually never started doing anything musical really until quarantine started. I
Oh.
started taking lessons and learning to play keyboard and stuff. And so
Mm.
I had written a lot of poems, and a lot of them kind of have become, well, a few of them have become songs. There's a few songs I've written specifically as songs, but many of them were poems first. And so, like, Be Quiet, My Restless Mind, or Shut Up, You Heartless Head, that I did write in high school, and it was a song then, but I couldn't really figure out a way to like perform it myself. So that more came along in quarantine, the actualization of these songs, I guess, or the transformation from poetry to song.
Okay. So are you taking like piano lessons? Or are you learning online or how's that
Voice
going?
lessons, yeah. I have a really great teacher, and it's like on the computer. So
Mm.
my Alexa responds to the word computer, so I just unplugged
Oh,
it real quick before
oh,
I
I
started
see.
talking. But she's been teaching me music. The teacher's been teaching me music theory stuff too, so that helps with like keyboard and writing songs on the keyboard and stuff.
Oh, interesting. Oh, that's really cool. Um, so you said it's piano lessons. Did you say voice lessons as
Voice
well, or?
lessons, yeah.
Oh,
It's
voice
primarily
lessons.
voice lessons, yeah.
Oh, okay. I see. Wow. Yeah, Paco, I'm curious, how did you get into playing guitar and bass and getting musical?
Okay, well, everything started when I was really young.
Oh.
Not too young, probably like 13, 14. I
Mm-hmm.
wish to start earlier, but when I was 13 or 14, I got like this kind of like a music instrument around, and I was just playing, and I was like involved in music. And then thanks to the school, I got a teacher for music. And then in the other school, I got another teacher. So I was like getting like a little information from them, the way like I supposed to start. And immediately I get into music. Um, and I choose the guitar. Um, for me to be close to people who plays guitar at that time, it was really important. So I got like close to different guitar players that were like kind of like really good at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then then I start teaching myself, like, like I would not come out just staying at the house, just playing, like guitar and stuff like that. But yeah, now all this time playing music is like really I enjoy a lot. And yeah, that is
Mm-hmm.
how I start playing guitar. Um,
Yeah,
um,
that's interesting. It's funny how guitar can do that. Like when I was in high school, I had a lot of friends that play guitar and I started learning. So we would all kind of sit around the circle and go around and we learned a lot, from each other. What type of songs and genres were you learning on guitar when you first started, and has that evolved?
No, actually, unfortunately, in South America was a little um, different. Everything that we saw, like in the radio, then in TV, over here, it was the most popular stuff. But yeah, I got into the Beatles immediately to media and then Led Zeppelin, and I stuck with the Doors. I did my first band when I was 16. Um,
Mm.
I play at this school. One song of the Doors, just like my fire, because that is all the time we had it. Only one day to do the show.
Oh, wow.
And we play like my fire from the Doors, and then I start playing the Doors. And heavy metal was involved, and like Iron Maiden, Metallica. But immediately pick up with the good guitar players, which is like Joe Satriani, Jimi Hendrix, Edmund Malmsteen, Steve Vai, Mark Knopfler, David Gilmour, Jimmy Page, all these like legends. So I took a lot of information from them until 19 years old. Probably I meet this guy who was into the jazz, and then I get into like Django Reinhardt and swing jazz, and I was transformed to the 1930s back. That I will start playing only swing jazz and 1930s music, like with a violin. And I got caught there for like good like 3 years, and then I came out again, and then I started doing bands like everything reggae, cumbia, rock. Well, I need to make one heavy metal band, but no. Yeah, but I've been like, as you see, like as an old person, I would say like I've been like working in music for a long time. Finally, at this point of like being on quarantine was like perfect for me to like pick up guitar again, and it's like start all this all like rusty things what we used to like do. And but yeah, I got into the guitar now more and more, and thanks to Brina, like keep it the fire up to come over and it's like practice more and more.
Man, yeah, that's you have a diverse range of genres you play. Heavy metal, rock, jazz. Wow. Um, this is kind of a technical question or something. I'm thinking of asking guitarists, like, when you're studying other guitarists, how do you learn like the techniques? Like, do you just learn like scales, or do you just
Well,
recreate
just
the
we use now we use a lot
solos?
like information, like we have the apps, like you can get the notes, you can get the chords, you can get the lyrics, and then you transport that to the guitar. Once you pick up the first uh, scale that you say in guitar, then you can transport that to different notes with the same figure. You just put in different places and it will make different notes. So it will be easy to transport that into the guitar. Now more than I used to do, it was more listening to the people. And back in the day when I didn't have that much information, I will like repeat the tape, the cassette, like repeat it and repeat it until like I get it from the beginning to the song until the end, like just listening, like where can I catch like the guitar at the point, trying to copy Robbie Krieger from the Doors. I didn't have that much information about guitars, like and the style, but I did it. Yeah, when I was 16, I was like, I'm just gonna go through the song from the beginning to the end, taking every note and trying to copy as much I can, as perfect I can. What is music? And I did that with other friends. It was great experience, and after that, that feeling, like I was like, no, I want to have this feeling forever. So I keep playing music and just trying to be. Unfortunately, no now like playing shows, but hopefully in the future we can play some shows around and trying to express that energy, and hopefully people will like it, enjoy it, and bring peaceful for everything.
Yeah, one thing I was curious about was with the two of you for your band. Yeah, how do you two, learn songs together for your performances and things like that? Like, how does that process go?
Yeah, so for the covers, a lot of times it'll be a song that I'm obsessed with, like Kate Bush songs or Florence the Machine or whatever. So
Mhm.
we play it, and then Paco's really good at like hearing the chords and like figuring them out. And if
Mm.
we can't, we could just look it up because it's the chords are all on the internet, and that helps too. And so then we just practice it. And Paco's very creative with guitar, so he's good at like changing it up a little bit, like running with it, which is cool. In
Mm.
terms of originals, that's a little harder. I used to make a lot of like GarageBand songs. Like I
Mm.
would just use loops in GarageBand and put them
Oh.
together and then sing the song over it, like ones that I'd
Mm.
written. And so some of them are based on that. Some of them are based on different collaboration I had done with this guy that I met on Reddit.
Mm.
And sometimes I have a keyboard over here. So sometimes I'll like try and figure out some notes on the keyboard that sound
Mm.
good with varying levels of success, and then bring that, and then we work on it based, from there.
Oh, okay. You already have songs on SoundCloud. I was curious how, those songs were produced, and I was hearing keyboard on those songs, and I was curious, who did those
Most of those
keyboards?
are GarageBand loops, yeah.
Oh, okay,
So,
okay.
and those are a lot of the old ones. Those are from beginning of quarantine. So,
Mm.
some of them are like still like the words are the same. Like I use the words, but we try, like for example, the Odyssey is one of them. Garden of Hearts is another. Be Quiet,
Mhm.
My Restless Mind, or Shut Up, You Heartless Head. Those are all older ones, but now we play it like we can play it live rather than just on the GarageBand loops. And
Oh,
then
okay.
what's the other one? Oh, The Drunken Sun was the instrumental was produced by this guy I met on Reddit. His name's Ian. He's really great with
Mm.
instruments, and so we've kind of based it on that. I don't think that one's on SoundCloud though.
Mm. Um, yeah, what has been your experience with producing? You talked about using GarageBand and using loops and arranging them. Yeah, how has that process been for you?
It's been pretty fun. I've learned a lot about music in the meantime. The loops were really all I could manage at first because I didn't know what chords were what, or how to play the piano at all until I started taking lessons. And so that was kind of my introduction into it, like training wheels almost. And then
Mm-hmm.
I have this microphone. I'm not using it right now, but it glows different colors, which is cool. But so I would record in my room based on like with that, and then try and add like different effects like reverb and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Don't really know how to mix music, was just experimenting with the different settings, but it's been fun. It's been fun for sure. And then like trying out layering and like harmonizing with myself at different points. So it's been a really good learning experience.
Man, that's awesome. Yeah, I love, when artists have their home set up and they're recording and getting their ideas out. So that's really
Yeah.
creative, man. Okay. Yeah, so Brenna, um, yeah, Brenna, tell me about the influence of classical and medieval literature on
Oh
your
yeah,
writing
for
and
sure.
style. Yeah.
So as I mentioned, I wrote my thesis on medieval female saints. It's a really interesting topic to me. I think I read 24 medieval hagiographies, which are
Oh.
saint biographies. And
Mhm.
I so my thesis is on the concept of metanoia, which is like turning, or it's the Greek for literally turning your mind around or changing your mind,
Huh.
which is really central in the Bible, but um it's often translated as repentance, and it's not really the same thing. And so
Mm.
it's about how different medieval female saints either persisted in gender stereotypes to their death, or broke those gender stereotypes, or did something in between in order to change their own minds around or change the mind of others around them, depending on their particular situation. And so
Mm.
I have been really fascinated with medieval female saints and just medieval gender and religion in general for a few years now. And so that's come into my writing, and that I think a lot of those concepts are interesting. I've written some songs about either, some of them are medieval, some aren't, but female saints like Mary Magdalene. That one's not on SoundCloud, I don't think, but I've got a song about her. I wrote some other ones too, but they're kind of on the back burner right now. But I just think the concepts they espouse are really fascinating, especially like asceticism. Asceticism is something I wrote a lot about, because there's this really great book by Carolyn Walker Bynum called Holy Feast and Holy Fast. It's about the religious significance of food to medieval women.
Mm.
And those women, although it wasn't healthy for them, like physically, they use suffering as a way to get closer to God, because suffering is like the human experience of God, like the whole
Mm,
Jesus thing and all that. And I
right.
don't mean to, I'm not, I find religion really fascinating. I don't necessarily agree with all the things that humans do for religion, but I think it's a really fascinating concept. And a lot of the practices are really interesting to me. So, anyways, all of that goes into the writing, and like the role of suffering in the human experience, and my own experiences also impact the writing too.
Mm,
That was like a
mm.
lot, sorry.
No, I'm following you. And I have a couple questions. That actually, that concept of human suffering in Christianity has been something that has intrigued me because, in terms of the reason that we're on Earth, we're getting existential here and things, but
Yeah.
the reason we're on Earth, and a lot of Christianity is about suffering. And then I think about, well, actually, from I'm in a clinical psychology program, PhD program, and for my dissertation, I'm looking at like well-being and resilience. So there's two type in positive psychology. You might be familiar with this, but in positive psychology, there's essentially like two branches of like well-being. So there's the hedonic, and that's like seeking pleasure and being, just happy all the time, essentially. And then there's eudaimonic well-being, and that's Aristotle's classic concept about essentially living a life of virtue. And um, the eudaimonic one is more about pushing through adversity and challenges to become your best self. So, that the idea of suffering in Christianity is just interesting to me about, how much should we suffer and kind of put ourselves down versus, kind of have self affirmations, feel positively about ourselves,
Right.
or even, yeah, experience, joy and things like that and forgive ourselves. So that's kind of been something interesting. I mean, in your research and in your thoughts, kind of what intrigues you about that their concepts of suffering and self kind of discipline,
Right.
and yeah, what.
I'm definitely somewhere in the middle. I'm so excited you brought up eudaimonia, because I took Latin and Greek in high school, and my
Oh.
Latin teacher would always talk about it, because it
Hmm.
comes from the Greek. And so that's a great question. I think probably it should be somewhere in the middle. In terms of my own personal experience, I used to think that you had to suffer for art and suffer
Mm.
for like being succeeding. I have bipolar disorder, and so
Mm.
that has been something that's influenced my work quite a bit. Um, and I always looked up to, like Virginia Woolf, Sylvia Plath, like the
Mm.
ones who didn't make it. And I, for a
Mm.
while I thought, well, they were so great when they were manic and they just had to pay the price. But I don't believe that anymore.
Mm.
I
Mm.
don't think suffering for suffering's sake is necessarily productive or necessary.
Mm.
Now, I don't think the saints were wrong for doing that. Like that was, they had a very specific cultural milieu and stuff like that. Um, and I don't believe in hedonism either, but I don't think suffering just for suffering's sake is, as I said, productive or necessary. I don't think, the whole idea of the tortured artist. I mean,
Mm. Mm.
so Florence the Machine wrote this piece back a few years ago. Well, Florence Welch from Florence the Machine, the whole band
Mm.
didn't write it, but
Okay.
she is recovering from alcoholism, and she wrote
Mm.
this piece about how when she said it something like this: um, when when the whole idea of the suffering artist or the tortured artist is perpetuated, the art eventually stops, because there's they don't make it.
Mm.
Seven
Mm.
Club and all that.
Right.
And that's really sad, because it doesn't perpetuate the art. The art stops once the
Mm.
person's gone. And
Yeah.
so, and we've lost a lot of artists to preventable causes.
Mhm.
And so, again, that was long-winded as well, but that's
No,
kind of
no.
on human suffering. I don't think suffering for suffering's sake is necessarily virtuous.
Mm.
Still,
Mhm.
aestheticism is still super interesting, but it's never worked in my life to be aesthetic, if that makes
Mm.
sense.
Mm. Yeah, and don't worry about being long-winded. I'm following, and and I enjoy this conversation. When you are writing on these figures, these women figures from the medieval times, are you kind of putting yourself in their shoes? Kind of, are you writing from their perspective? And you also say you bring up your own experiences as well. So are you kind of imagining yourself in medieval times, in that setting? How does that work with your stories and your songs?
Yeah, it's kind of a mixture, mixture. Some of them are almost like interviews with the medieval people, like Magdalena, the song I wrote about Mary Magdalene, which I don't think we've performed yet. But it's it asks like, how did you feel when you saw that like this, the stone had been rolled away and Jesus was there, and like how lonely is that? But some of them are more from like, and same with like Joan of Arc. Like I'm obsessed with Joan of Arc. This is her coat of
Oh,
arms.
sweet.
But so I definitely identify with certain aspects of their story, and so I kind of dig into that. And some of them, like for example, the story of Samson and Delilah, I've got a song called Accidental Delilah, which we're still working on. And if you take divine favor out of it, Delilah was kind of the hero in the story because she was, Samson killed a ton of her people, and she was taking down a man who was so strong that he could make anyone cower, and that's kind of not fair. That's my view of it, at least. I just think about stuff like that a lot. And so yeah, I kind of look at them from my perspective, but also try and take in some of their perspective, like how must these people have felt? How did Joan of Arc feel? Probably horrible, but she didn't even reach 20. And so sympathizing with them while maintaining some kind of distance, so I can't sympathize with them too much, right? Because I'm not them. Or empathize, I guess, is a better word.
You have this concept, the cosmic mundane. Yeah, tell me about that.
Yeah, so that was the original unofficial name. The website is still stuck there. Like I can't get all of it to change over. So another poem that I wrote quite a while ago, it's short. It goes, cosmic mundanity is a gift unto itself. A supernova resides within a streetlight and a supernova resides within a streetlight, and each sunset is a rebirth of the moon who calls me, but my feet stay stuck to earth. So it's the idea of, I almost forgot it there, but it's the idea of like finding really beautiful, like cosmic things in very mundane items, like a street lamp. Like it's just a normal thing, but if you think of it, it's like, it's kind of beautiful, like seeing it at night when there's no light, and that's what's giving the light. It's like, so it's kind of the juxtaposition of the cosmic and the mundane. Or cosmic in the mundane.
Yeah, I really like that. Let me see. I've been seeing kind of for myself, like the beauty and kind of the ordinary types of things. So that resonates with me. Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious for both of you if your experiences moving from Indiana and Ecuador to DC, if that comes out in your music.
Paco, you want to go first?
Definitely, it brings music from Ecuador for me to DC, and immediately absorb DC as the go-go, like the folklore of DC, and put everything, even if it's like rock or pop, or in this case like indie. I will definitely, you can feel some of the traditional melodies of like the Inca music a little bit, will I say, but yeah, definitely influenced like the place that I'm born and the music that I brought from there to here, and get unite with this music, and Brenna brought like a nice project with all this enthusiastic. So I was like, it's I like when I see people with other kind of music coming and share, and then we can create different like melodies. But yeah, my music definitely is some of the South American flavor, I would say.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we recently had on a Colombian American band that's in Washington, and one of the genres they do is cumbia, so it's really cool to learn
Yeah,
about that.
I share a stage with the San Washington. Like
Oh.
I love the cumbia. Yeah.
Oh, sweet. That's exciting.
So in terms of Indiana, not much in Indiana has influenced me just because I wasn't really doing music back then. I mean, I would go to concerts in Chicago and stuff, but it was nothing major. In DC, however, like since I was an adult at that point, I gone to a lot of local like $10, $20 concerts that have been really great, and I love the local music scene in DC outside of COVID, obviously.
All right.
And it's been really great to have resources like the Just Rock open mic.
Mhm.
Another open mic we went to that was entirely country except for us, which was kind of funny.
Oh.
But yeah, so the music community in DC has been really great, even in like the short time I've been doing this.
Mm-mm. Yeah, it's always exciting for me to see there's so much talent in the DC area.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm curious also as, kind of Kate Bush and Florence Welsh's influence on you, kind of what about them sticks out to you and resonates with you?
Yeah. So I've been listening to Florence for quite a while. I've seen her in concert 4 times and I cried
Mm.
every time.
Oh.
Um, so
Yeah, I
good.
saw her. I saw her. She was in Maryland, maybe in
Were
like
you at Meriwether
2013.
Post? Oh, 2013. Okay.
Yeah, it
I
was,
was gonna
yeah.
say I saw her at Meriwether Post Pavilion maybe like a year ago or something like that.
Oh, okay.
I think maybe it was the same one, but
Mm,
no, yeah. So I really love her music because she's just kind of very she's so authentic. She's got so much energy, and it's just
mm,
like this chaotic but like beautiful whirlwind of energy and ideas, and that really speaks to me and it really resonates with me because I feel like it's music that can describe my inner life to like a certain degree.
mm,
So and I love like all the orchestral instruments in
mm,
her,
mm,
especially in her latter albums. Well,
mm,
even the early ones. So just obsessed with Florence and the Machine. They're just so good. And then
mhm,
Kate Bush, I actually only started listening to Kate Bush like probably during quarantine or maybe just before it. My roommate introduced me to her,
mm,
and I just the first song I heard that I really liked was Cloud Busting, but of course I love Wuthering Heights and Running Up That Hill and Babushka
mm.
and all of them. I love all of them.
Okay. Mm, mm,
And with her too, she's just so eccentric and in a very positive way, and I really am drawn to that because like
mm,
I'm
mm,
a fairly eccentric person, so I love other people who can like
mm,
use that and like own it. Like it's great.
mm, mhm,
So that's kind of, and I just like the style of their music as well, so that's
mm,
influenced me a lot, and my songwriting too.
mm. Yeah, there's to your music and your performances, there is an avant-garde element, that, I really enjoy and appreciate. And, I'm a reserved person. So when I see that on stage, it's inspiring and it's fun.
Thanks.
So, even like your performance, it um influenced me and inspired me to like move my arms a little bit more when I went up on stage. So
Thank you.
yeah.
I did some of those dance moves from the live version of James and the Cold Gun. Not
I
a,
think
I lifted quite a bit of them.
okay, I think I might have caught a couple of them there. Yeah. I went and watched the live performance of it. So that, yeah, so I can see that how that comes through. I'm curious about, when the song, Be Quiet My Restless Mind, and you did mention your like bipolar diagnosis, and I was curious kind of if that was kind of birthed out of, maybe like feeling really like riled up and kind of
Yeah,
manic.
it definitely has something to do with that. So I wrote that song at the end of high school. I wasn't diagnosed until 2017 when I was like 19
Mm.
after I stayed awake for 3 days.
Oh wow. Mm, yeah.
Because they gave me a med that like had a really bad reaction, so I stayed awake
Mm,
for 3 days.
mm,
Anyways, but this was pre that, and like I definitely had those mood swings, but I had no idea where they were coming from. So it was kind of like, "Be quiet, my restless mind," or "Shut up, you heartless head," whatever gets it to stop. And
mm,
the song, the first verse is, "I never thought I'd be the type to suddenly go insane. I thought you needed drugs or booze or a poorly wired brain." And at the time, like I mean, in high school, I was really into running.
mm,
I
mm,
didn't ever party or anything, and so I was very confused as to why I was feeling this way, and I really didn't know where to go with it. And so it kind of came out sideways in that song.
mm,
And so, and not all of it like is a direct correlation, but it does have a lot to do with that. Yeah, a lot of my songs have a lot to do with like mental health stuff and just as metaphors.
Mm-hmm. Let me see. Okay. So yes, and you also did the performance series on Harmonic Heart, and you perform, some live songs that people can see there as well. That are great. Let me see. I feel like we've talked about a lot today, and I feel like there's so much that we could, go into. But I think, what are you two excited about, for this band, and what are you looking forward to?
I really want a gig. I think that would be super fun once like things start opening up with COVID. Paco, what about you?
Well, definitely a gig will be the goal. But actually, I'm trying to like let open people to like come enjoy different like styles. And for me, this style is a little different of the others. So it's pretty interesting working out everything. It start like the song we were talking about. Was like she created like 4 days ago, and 3 days ago we just play it. So everything's coming fast, which I like it. And yeah, I have a good feeling like, people is gonna enjoy it and have a good time at the same time.
Right. Yeah.
And it would be cool if we could get a harp player. That's like adding more people to the mix is like definitely a goal, like, and a harp especially, or like a violin or something. That would be sick.
Oh, true.
The
Yeah.
harp player is like a cupid, like playing the harp
Right.
there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So just adding more people is also a goal.
Yeah, I can see that for y'all, kind of, like that, the Florence, the orchestral elements. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that would sound great musically, and it would be, just fun additions to your, to your performances. So, yeah, where can people follow you and keep up with you?
Yeah, on Instagram, it's after, I believe it's after _ the _martyrs, and then we've got a website. It's like brennacarroll.wixsite.com/afterthemartyrs or something along those lines. I can send it. And then our YouTube is also After the Martyrs, but that's the channel name. So that has a bunch of like live performances, like from the open mic, from other stuff.
Okay.
One time we went to Great Falls and filmed James and the Cold Gun there. That was fun. So it's got all that stuff. YouTube is probably the best resource.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah, and you guys have some, quite a few, like live performances on your YouTube that are really cool to see. So people should watch them. I think we're freezing up here a little bit. But is there anything else that you want the people to know? Anything you want, you think, you want to share today?
No, we covered a lot. What about you, Paco?
I would like people to know like freedom is there and it's easy to take it.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think about, how music grants me, a feeling of freedom. And, we are recording this when, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have been, elected as the new president and vice president. So, it's definitely, hopeful time for us, for many people, in the country to, be safe and feel more protected and at ease. So, definitely. Well, yeah, it's really been enjoyable talking with both of you, learning more about your process and just y'all in general. I, love to, continue, talking more, and you're always welcome to come back on the show. So
Thank you so much. It was really nice talking with you as well.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks. Okay, everybody, go ahead and follow After
Thank you
the
very
Martyrs.
much.
Oh, my pleasure.